Actually, rectifying the chart of someone who has had a sudden dramatic change in their destiny isn't that difficult. You just need a good understanding of the properties of the 9 grahas, the 12 zodiac signs, and the 12 houses, and you must confirm your theories using the timeline of the dashas. We're intentionally not going to dive deep into the divisional charts. The divisional charts shouldn't contradict the Rashi chart. They should only support and confirm the main chart. For people like this, there must be a trigger. There has to be a trigger that fires the shot, so to speak. In other words, you have an ordinary person living an ordinary life. There are many people like that all around us. And then suddenly, they are unexpectedly launched into the spotlight of fame, power, or wealth. As a rule, their birth date and place are available in open sources. And that's already a huge help, because in that case, we have a limited number of possible Lagnas, exactly 12. And that's a good thing, because we have a tool that allows us to filter out the incorrect ones, the dashas. We also have the exact time when events began to unfold rapidly. Let's apply this rectification method to the destiny of David Charles Grusch. Here was an officer, one of many, at the National Reconnaissance Office, or NRO. And suddenly, he leaves his service and is literally thrown onto the front pages of the tabloids. Documentaries are made about him, and famous journalists interview him. And most importantly, he gains the sympathy and attention of many Americans. In this video, I'm not going to bore you by going through all 12 possible Lagnas. That's the astrologer's behind-the-scenes work. It's a job that requires patience and time. But what can we say about David Charles Grusch's chart without a specific birth time? Right away, we can see that he has only one planet in either exaltation or debilitation that could cause such a radical change in his destiny. That planet is Venus. Can Venus grant fame? Because based on the events so far, we haven't seen David Grusch gain power or money. An exalted Venus can give a lot if it's in the right house and sign. Here, Venus is in debilitation, and there's no Parivartana Yoga, since there are no planets in Libra or Taurus. So, that option is out. This is why you'll find almost no astrological analysis of his chart online, even with a speculative birth time. At first glance, everything in his chart looks ordinary and average, but there is one trigger that can provide the push for popularity. And that is the Digbala of the Moon and Venus. Everyone knows the Jyotish rules about which planets have Digbala in which houses, but there's very little practical information on how it actually works and what it gives the native. Venus in the 4th house gives an attractive appearance and comfort in one's environment. That's not hard to understand, knowing the characteristics of Venus and the 4th house. Even a debilitated Venus can give beauty. Even a debilitated Venus can provide for a comfortable home. But with the moon, it's not so obvious. The moon represents emotions. The moon's Digbala, in the 4th house, gives the native the sympathy of many people. The person literally captures people's emotions. This is because the 4th house represents the public, the country, the homeland. The planets also located in this house will show us what tools are used to achieve this. The close proximity of the moon to Ketu introduces the theme of something secret, hidden, or mystical. Furthermore, the moon and Mercury form a Parivartana Yoga. This creates a connection between the 4th house of popularity and the 2nd house of speech. David Grusch knows how to speak and be persuasive. The moon in Virgo gives an understanding of structure and systems. It provides logic. So, I won't test your patience any further, and will go straight to setting the Lagna as Gemini. Gemini Lagna has its own unique feature, which I discuss in a separate video about Chai Inwu, but all of our assumptions must be confirmed by the Vimshottari Dasha. Otherwise, it's just speculation. Go ahead and cast the chart with me using the birth time 4:29 a.m. on August 10th, 1986, in Allegheny County, Pennsylvania. The time when the moon, specifically, made him famous was June 2023. Specifically, on June 5th, the first detailed article about him was published in the Debrief. Then, on June 11th, his first high-profile TV interview aired on News Nation. In it, he stated his main points on camera for the first time. And finally, on July 26, 2023, the culmination. David Grusch gave public testimony under oath before the U.S. House Subcommittee on National Security. He confirmed his statements and reported that he had provided congressmen with classified information about specific programs, locations, and names. He also mentioned that he was aware of non-human biologics being recovered from crash sites. All of these fateful events occurred during the Mahadasha of Jupiter, the Antardasha of Venus, and the Pratyantardasha of the Moon. The Moon will continue to be a key factor in our analysis. The Jupiter-Moon period is set to begin in May 2026, and during that time, Grusch will continue his activities, speaking at conferences and participating in discussions. He will no longer be a lone voice, but will become a central figure in an entire movement. Furthermore, during the Jupiter-Ketu period, he was working at the NRO as a senior intelligence officer and co-lead for UAP analysis. At that time, he held the highest level of security clearance. By the way, Ketu is at the same degree as the Lagna. This means that Ketu's periods will be fateful and significant. And the Jupiter-Venus period caused him considerable anxiety, as this was when he made the final decision to leave public service. What else can we add about this chart? Rahu in the 10th house often produces an aggressive politician. I believe he will be able to convert the experience and public interest he has gained into a political career. Mars in the 7th house aspects the 1st house. This gives him an officer's bearing, but it damages relationships with partners. Mercury in the house of speech gives oratory skills, while the Sun in the house of speech gives lofty, stately speech. Jupiter in the 9th house will make him a good teacher and mentor, and it brings spirituality. It's quite possible that he will write a book about the government or power, as there is a strong connection between the 3rd house of hands and Mercury. Subscribe to my channel so you don't miss new and interesting chart analyses.